speaker, which is Christopher Fairbank. He's a local person from San Antonio that we found. Christopher is a renowned ballet dancer, turned police officer, turned motivational speaker. He will make audiences laugh and motivate them to achieve more. Christopher speaks all over the country, inspiring businesses, conference attendees, and organizations with the goal of creating a positive change in our communities. Christopher is a thought leader and a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, and his experience as a professional motivational speaker, mentor, public information officer, hostage negotiator, and retired professional ballet dancer and teacher, having danced and taught professionally for over 18 years. He serves as an executive business coach and trainer and mentors others to help them realize their potential and to understand that they can become successful in life no matter what your circumstances are. So at this time, let's welcome Christopher Fairbank to our Texas Bursars Conference.
Can you hear me? Is everybody awake? Sort of? Okay, well, you're going to be the butt of every single joke that I tell today. Great. He's like, always, right? Well, hopefully by the end of this, you'll be awake. I'm not going to pick on anybody. I'm not going to make any jokes about him. Don't worry about it. But you're not safe. So like he said, my name is Christopher Fairbank. I am what they call the Dare to Be Different Positive Disruptor and Speaker Coach. What on earth does that mean? Well, it means that I dare to be different. You guys like this? Okay, so you got to be different, right? You guys see that? Those are flamingo socks, okay? Have to be different. Positive disruptor, I believe in telling people how it is and how you're supposed to hear it. Whether or not you like it or not, sometimes we have to hear what we don't want to hear, right? I take that and I can use that. I can say honestly, I come by it honestly because I'm a through and true New Yorker, and we just tell everybody how it is. So today you're going to get how it is. So today we're going to talk about leadership and how we can be better leaders and how we can help integrate leadership into our everyday lives, into our jobs, and especially you folks here who are the people that are probably still counting on everybody, and probably me too, to pay my college debt. I don't have any college debt actually, so you guys did very good at hounding me. I paid it so you guys wouldn't call me again. So with that, we're going to talk about different things like that. But this is me, this is who I am. Hopefully this works. It'd help if it was on, right? So this was me back when? Way back when. So this right here, this isn't too bad, right? That didn't hurt too much. Anybody here can do that? Nobody? Yeah, I heard it, yeah. Come on up, let's go. Oh. You need some more? I have to say, if you come up here and do it, I'll do it too. Just make sure 911 is on speed dial. And then this right here, this was actually an interesting story. This is when I was dancing in New York. I was on Broadway. We were doing the musical Fame. You guys heard of Fame? I was Tyrone Jackson in the musical Fame. It was a lot of fun. I did not tap dance, but if you know the story of Fame, in Fame, Tyrone Jackson was actually a tap dancer. So for mine, I said, I don't tap dance. They said, oh, we can figure it out. I'm like, okay, let's figure it out. They tried to teach me some tap. That did not go very well at all. They said, well, we'll have Tyrone Jackson be a ballet dancer. So when the audiences went and saw me, they're kind of confused, like, wait a second. I thought he did tap. No, not this one. Not this one. You didn't want to see that. That would have been very realistic, though, right? So why do I show this? I show this because it's all about leadership and all about coming out and becoming yourself and who you are and finding out who you are. I found out who I was at about the age of 11, but kind of fell upon it. I was in the foster care system from the age of 2 until the age of 5. So in my eyes and my mind, I tell everybody I was told no right from the beginning. My parents couldn't take care of me. They were teenagers. They couldn't take care of me. Unfortunately, later on in life, they were both, one of them was murdered in prison, my father, and my biological mother was found in a ditch, and we're not going to talk about what happened to her, but very tough. They couldn't take care of me, so at the age of 2, they gave me up into the foster care system. The Fairbank family took me in at 2 years old and just loved on me and took a hold of me and said, oh, we love this little boy, and I'm very grateful for it. At the age of 5, they actually started the adoption process. Well, in upstate New York at the time, they said that they could not adopt a child that was not the same race as the family was. My parents said, well, this is absolutely absurd, this is ridiculous, we're going to do it anyway. So they fought and fought and fought. 3 years later, the courts finally said, well, yeah, you're a good family. My father was very well known in the community. He was a doctor, and when he retired from practicing medicine, he went off to teach at Cornell University, an Ivy League school. And they said, well, you have enough influence in the community. I don't see why we can't do this. You'll give him a good life. I was adopted at the age of 8. Thankfully, that was great. Fast forward a couple years, to the age of 11, the one time, I promise you, the one time that I rode the school bus to school, my parents did not have us ride the bus. I don't know why. I think they were scared of it. I have no idea. I was on the bus that morning for some reason, and this girl, this girl. Oh my gosh. Lena Rose. Holy cow. Lena Rose got on the bus. She lived about 5 or 6 doors down from me, and we had been best friends since I don't know how long. She got on the bus, and I knew that she was a ballet dancer, but I didn't think anything else of it. Well, she got on the bus that day, and she said, hey, Christopher, we need some more boys for the Nutcracker. I looked at her and I said, excuse me? She said, we need some more boys for the Nutcracker. All I heard was nut and cracker, and I said, I'm not doing that. No, that in my mind, that just didn't sound right, and it did not feel right either. She said, don't worry about it. I'll come by later on this afternoon, and I'll get your measurements. And I was like, but you'll do nothing of the sort. I said, no, you won't. So, of course, later on that afternoon, I got home from school. My father got home. We had dinner, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and I said, Dad, Lena Rose. And, of course, he interrupted me and said, oh, she's such a sweet girl, isn't she? Yes, she is, Dad. She's going to come by the house later on this evening around 7 o'clock, she said, and get my measurements for some Nutcracker. My dad goes, that's great. I said, no, it's not. No, it's not. He said, all right. I said, can you help me out? My dad said, like we've all heard, I've got your back, son. I said, all right. My dad's got my back. 7 o'clock, we hear this on the door. I said, Dad, I'm going to go hide in the parlor. Tell her I'm not here. My dad again says, son, don't worry about it. I got your back. He opens the door. Lena, how are you? She says, I'm good, Miss Dr. Fairbank. How are you? He says, I'm great. I'm great. Well, thank you so much. Christopher's in the parlor hiding from you. Dad, I've got your back, son. Oh, yeah. So I do the Nutcracker. She takes all my measurements. I'm like, oh, this is a little awkward, especially, the arms was fine, the waist was fine, the MC, that kind of got me. Spread your legs. No. You don't need to put a tape measure there. I'm okay. Just give me some pants. I didn't say ballet, right? Pants? She looked at me crazy. Pants? Oh, you're wearing tights. No, I'm not. I ended up in tights. Did the show, absolutely loved every single minute of it. Went on with life and started dancing and had a great old time. Which leads me to our topic. I love this quote here because I think it emulates for every single person and really hits us hard and hits us deep. Because it says, a true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. Now, what I did not tell you was in high school, I had a principal. I won't say his name, Mr. Barago. But anyway, the principal said to me one day in class, I think I was in 9th grade or something, he says to me, you just want to be the center of attention. You seem like you always want to be the class clown. You always want people to have their eyes on you. And I thought, well, I'm a very good student. I don't talk back. I listen. I do my homework. I get good grades. Am I a jokester? Yeah, I'm a jokester. But I know when to turn it off and when to turn it on. And this principal said to me, you will never amount to anything. And he stopped there and walked out of the room. Wow. You will never amount to anything. Well, I'm telling you, that hit me pretty hard. Because I was already different. Because I was already doing ballet. And you can only imagine what a boy in ballet, how his life would be in high school and in middle school. Imagine that. Well, I got all that plus some. And then people would always say too, oh, well, you're not even really part of the Fairbank family because you're not white like they are. Got all those things over and over again. And then to have a principal, somebody that I looked up to, past tense, say to me, you'll never amount to anything. Wow. But I had the courage to stand out. I had the courage to keep on going. And I had the courage to say, you know what, I don't care what he says. I'm going to try and do what I'm going to do. Started auditioning for ballet companies, started doing things like that, which we'll talk about later on. I'll throw that in there a little later on. But I was with a company that offered me a job, and I was so excited. And they said, but the first order of business is we got to train you up for this competition. And I said, a competition? They said, yes, a competition. We want you to go and compete in an international ballet competition and represent the United States of America. And I said, oh, my goodness, no, I can't. I can't do that. And he said, oh, yeah, you can. So my ballet master was very excited. He said, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. The director of the company, may she rest in peace, she would walk into rehearsals and just little things. You might want to punch your feet. And she'd walk out. Like, oh, great. Those are the tidbits I got. So lo and behold, I went to this international competition representing the United States of America, so you're welcome. And I brought home a medal for you guys. You're welcome again. So here's the picture. Here is the video that was actually taken on the other side of the world. And this is where I brought you guys home a medal, a gold medal from the United States of America. Gold medal, you're welcome. What's that? Oh, well, thank you. So, here we go. This is my catchphrase. So after I retired from dancing, because the going up did not bother me at all, but the coming down, it started to hurt. My knees started to rattle, my hips started to scream at me, and I said, okay, I think it's time to retire. So when I decided to retire, I retired at the ripe old age of, I'm not going to tell you because that just shows my age, but I decided to retire, but I wanted to retire at the top when I was able to do the last show and people would say, oh my goodness, he was so good, instead of, oh, I remember when. So I retired at that age and I said, okay, this is great. So my very, very, very close friend said, hey, I think I'm going to join the police academy. We had just recently moved to Texas. He said, hey, I'm going to join the police academy. I said, good for you, go for it. He said, no, but I want to go with somebody. I said, there will be plenty of other people that will be in the police academy with you. Plenty. That is not for me. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I've never wanted to. No, not, no. No. Ballet? Police? I don't think so. Well, lo and behold, he talked me into it. So we went to the police academy. And we'll talk about that a little later on. However, while we were in the police academy, our little group, or our class, our squad, came up with a phrase. And this is our phrase that we came up with. It was, I am a leader, I have integrity, and I will be the change that I want to see in this world. So with that, that's how I start every single presentation after a little story. So please, everybody stand up for me. I know it's early. This will be the only, but I shouldn't say the only time. You're going to do it at the end too. So repeat after me. Okay, it's very simple. If you don't hear what I say, you can read it on the board. Here we go. I am a leader.
I am a leader.
I have integrity.
I have integrity.
I will be the change.
I will be the change
that I want to see.
that I want to see.
Very good. You can be seated. Now, hopefully, by the end of this, you will be that leader. You will be that leader that knows that they have integrity, and you will be the person that you know that you want to see and the change that you want to see in this world. So there's a couple different things. We're going to go over 6 key elements of becoming a great leader. Now, we have heard, and I'm sure you have heard a lot of times, that people say, oh, well, leadership is born. If you're not born with leadership, you're just not a leader. Well, I'm here to thank you. I'm here to tell you that is not the case. There is a leader all over the place. There's always a leader everywhere. Who was it, Franklin Covey or Stephen Covey said, there's a leader in every seat? Well, that is the truth. There is a leader in every seat. Every single one of us is a leader in our own right. Just like that. We are all leaders in our own right if we... Okay. The Art of Life Theater. Right. Lose your mic. Or a shoe. So, like I was saying, I believe that there's a qualities yet, or we haven't found those, we are able to develop them, and we are able to show those and hone in on those leadership qualities that we have and become great leaders, no matter who we are and no matter what we're about. So step number one, what is a leader? We're going to talk about what a true leader is and what it means to be a leader. Key number two, being the leader that you would follow. Are you the leader that would follow yourself? Are you somebody that can say something to somebody else and then put yourself in their shoes and say, you know what, I will do that, and I will go and I will do this exact same thing that I'm asking them to do. Can you do that, and will you do that? Set the direction, be the teacher. Don't just be somebody that says, hey, this is what it is, here's the project, here's the list of people that you have to call, and you've never done it yourself. Admit faults and mistakes. Who here, be honest, remember I was a cop, so I know how to read people. So now that I put that disclosure out there, who here can honestly admit to their faults and their mistakes? Go ahead and raise your hand high. Okay, very good. So there's a few people that are like, hands kind of shake, I don't know. Well, that is pretty tough. That is hard. We're going to talk about that as well, how you can do it easily. Help others succeed and encourage leadership at all levels. That right there I think is very key and very essential. We have to develop leadership at all levels, because one day we are no longer going to be in the position that we were in. And if we have not encouraged leadership, if we have not helped somebody else that is below us, if you will, below us, then how are we ever going to succeed? And how is that person ever going to succeed? How is that business ever going to get better? Well, it probably isn't, because you have not encouraged them to become better. And last but not least, lead by example. Who here believes that they are an example and they lead by example? Okay. So some people are kind of shaking their head like, I don't know. You probably are then. If you're thinking, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't know if I am or not, well, then you probably are. But if you're sitting there thinking, well, no, I know I'm not, well, then you probably are. So, number one, very easy. What is a leader? Merriam-Webster. You cannot go wrong with Merriam-Webster, right? Now, I could have come up with my own definition, and I could have come up with my own thing about what leadership is, but I figured I'd just go right to the source, the dictionary. You can't go wrong with Merriam-Webster. And the quality of being a leader, the quality of being honest and fair. Honesty plus fairness equals integrity. Honesty plus fairness equals integrity. And what actually is integrity? And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So, APJ Abdul Kalam. Love this guy. President of India, I believe it was. Yes? No? Nobody knows. We're going to go with that. I'm on my own. We're going to go with that. But a great philosopher as well. So he says, let me define a leader. And I'm going to change this just a little bit because of the, we're in the 21st century here. Let me define a leader. He, she, they must have a vision and a passion and not be afraid of any problem. Instead, he, she, they should know how to defeat it. Most importantly, he, she, they must work with integrity. Now, I'll tell you a story about integrity. I'm sitting at home about 2 years ago at my house, loving life, enjoying life, just doing my thing. I get a phone call from my children's headmaster at school. And the headmaster says, Mr. and Mrs. Fairbank, we need to talk to you when you get here today. I said, okay, we need to talk to him. It's all right. What happened? They said, we need to talk to you about your son. I said, okay, about my son. Well, of course, the first thing in my mind was, oh boy, I'm still working as a police officer at this point in time. Like, this kid's in trouble. I want to handcuff him to the bed, and he ain't ever moving. Because if we're getting called by the headmaster, there must be something wrong. So he said, absolutely. Just what I wanted to do on my day off, right? Go in and get reprimanded by the headmaster because my child isn't doing something that he's supposed to be doing. We go into the school, we sit down in the office. The headmaster says, well, let me talk to you about your son. And I was thinking, Of course, now my blood is really starting to boil. Just by the way he said it, I'm like, what did this boy do? I'm going to go yank him out of class right now. Make an example. And he said, today, after lunch, and it was time for recess, your son was going out the door, and I was thinking, here we go. And he stopped and held the door, and I thought, oh, well, that's not bad. He said, but he didn't just hold the door for the first second grade class. He held the door for the next second grade class as well, and I thought, oh, good boy. And then he says, as we're standing around the corner watching this whole thing play out, there's a little girl in the school that has a walker. She's disabled. She's got a walker. And as she's walking down the hall, she stops because her books, some of her books, and some of the papers had fallen out of her backpack. The headmaster said, "Your son stopped, let that class go through, he shut the door, he ran over there, picked up her books and said, 'Don't worry about it, I'll just carry them for you.'" Grabbed all her papers, got it out and said, "Here, let's go." They walk up the door, he opens up the door, and she can't get the walker over the threshold of the door. And the headmaster says that your son bent down, put his foot on the door like that. I was like, oh, he's going to be a dancer. So he put his foot on the door like that, bent down, picked up the walker and got her over the threshold and helped her outside. When they got out there, he said, "Let me take your backpack." And so, of course, they're following and watching this whole thing play out. Took her backpack, put her stuff back in her backpack, as best he could. And then he said, "Hey, why don't you just play with me for the rest of the time?" Now, the headmaster said, "Just so you know, their recess after lunch is about 20 minutes. Your son spent about 10 minutes of that helping this little girl." And then he was out there, played with her the whole time. When they came back and he did the same thing, helped her back, and then helped her back to her classroom because she wasn't in his class. Helped her back to her classroom. And the headmaster said that I stopped him and I said, "So why did you do that? You realize that you gave up?" He said, "I wanted to see what he'd say." He said, I said, "Do you realize that you gave up 10 minutes of your recess to help that little girl?" And he said, "Your son said," well, I would hope anybody else would have done the same thing. Integrity? Integrity. Well, I'm telling you, I was beaming so brightly. I was like, oh yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy. And all the credit goes to his mother. Because I know her. But that was so cool. As we drove him home from school that day, and we were talking, we're like, "Hey, tell us about your day." He didn't even mention it, like it was just a normal day at school. And I said, "Well, did you make a new friend?" "Yeah, I made a new friend." "Well, tell us about this new friend." "Oh, she's really cool." "Oh, cool. Well, tell us about her." "Well, you don't really tell that. She's just a cool person." I was like, "Great." Well, over the next couple of weeks and series of weeks, he started talking about her a lot more and talking about, well, you know, she's got, I can't remember what her ailment is or anything, but he tells us what it is. I'm like, that is really cool. He's like, "Oh yeah, she's part of my friend group now." I'm like, "That is awesome." He said, "Yeah," he says, "We're in the friend group that we'll invite anybody into our friend group. We don't care who they are, what they look like, or what they're about." And I thought, my goodness, what a good kid. I know you are your mother's child. I know. So integrity. This is a great quote right here, and I can just say it's a great quote because, you know, who said that? Yes! Me, this is mine. So be the leader you would follow and lead with integrity. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one else is around or watching. Once again, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one else is around or watching. That little boy that day, my son at that time, 7 years old, did something and did the right thing when no one else was around or watching, that he knew it. He didn't know the people around him watching. Integrity. Integrity is actually being able to say to yourself, "I'm going to do this even though I know that it's right, and even though that I know that I'm not going to get any recognition for it, and even though I know that other people might get upset because I'm doing it or I came up with it first, but you still do it because you know that you need to do it." That is integrity. There are a lot of times in our jobs and in our businesses and whatever we do, integrity comes into check. Integrity comes into check a lot. While I was a police officer, my integrity was called into check, I think, on a daily basis when I was out there on that street. On a daily basis. So, one of my jobs as a police officer, I worked for the colleges, for the Alamo colleges. I thought I saw Alamo colleges. Hey, hey! Oh my gosh, give me some love. How on earth are you? See, I know her. She's ready to go home now because you've heard all this, right? So anyway, yeah, college is not cool. Okay, so I was a pretty good officer. I was okay. Excellent. See, they miss me. I'm sorry, retirement's too good. Okay. So anyway, at the colleges, there was something that was going on. My integrity was called to check. There's a professor that had done something. Nobody else really knew about it. I happened to be there and see it and witness it. And I had two choices. I had the choice of let's just let it go. Let's not worry about it. It's probably only the first time it's happened. It probably hasn't happened again. It probably won't happen again. Let's just let it go. Or I could say something to this professor and then report it because it needed to be reported. My integrity was called to check right then and there because when that professor noticed that I saw it, said professor came up to me and said, "You're not going to say anything, right?" In my head, I was thinking, well, you know what? I'm pretty liked here. A lot of people like me, and I know everybody on every campus, right? I knew everybody on every campus, because that's just who I was. I wanted to know everybody. I thought, oh man, well, if I do it for this one, then I got to do it for every other one that comes along too. And so I said, this said, Professor, well, I did see it, and unfortunately I'm going to have to say something about this. And you are actually going to have to come with me. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to come with me. Oh, don't cuff me, don't do that. I'm not going to handcuff you, don't worry about it, it's fine. We're just going to walk like two normal people, just walking down through the building. It's okay. Went in, got it taken care of, got the situation taken care of. But the whole time this professor kept on saying to me, we can just cover this up. Let's not worry about this. Let's just do it. No one's going to know. Who's going to know? He's going to know, and I'm going to know. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because what if something else would have come bigger out of it, right? What if it would have come? It just isn't worth it. Integrity. Do the right thing, even when no one else is around or looking. And it doesn't matter if somebody is watching you. It's still important to keep that integrity on the top of your radar, on the top of your list, because that way, you know that anytime you're called in a check, you know the right thing to do. You always know the right thing to do. What do they say? They say that it's easier to tell the truth because lies are too hard to remember. Same thing. We have to make sure that we keep it in check. Set the direction and be the teacher. So, this is my favorite part. Set the direction and be the teacher. So, this was interesting. This was hard for me when I joined the police academy. This was extremely, extremely tough. So I'm in the police academy, and everything is going, I guess, as well as it can go. But the police academy is paramilitary. I was not in the military. Anybody here former military, current military? A few people? Military family? Well, thank all of you for your service, and them for their service. We greatly appreciate it. I had no idea what I was getting into. First day of the academy, we get there, they tell us to dress up in nice suits. I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I put on this nice, fancy, schmancy suit. I'm like, I'm ready to go. And I'm standing there, and we all had our lunch boxes, so we had to bring our lunch. They said, put your lunch boxes on the table. It's like, okay, great. Ballet dancer, right? Very OCD, very particular, everything has to be just one way. I went over there, put my lunchbox on the table, got it all situated, it's good. The drill instructor comes out, starts looking by, sees my lunchbox all nice and neat, and flings it off the table and goes right on the floor. I was like, oh, no, he didn't. So I walked over, I picked it up, I put it right back on the table. And he looked at me. And I looked at him back, like, and? He goes back over and flings it off again. And I thought, oh, this man, we got to get down today. So I walked over and he goes, don't you touch it. I'm like, well, that's my lunchbox. He goes, don't touch it. I'm like, what? I didn't realize that they're trying to break me, I guess. So I let it sit there, which I did the whole time, like, if ants get in there, I'm eating your lunch today. I'm just letting you know I'm going to come into your office, I'm eating your lunch. So we're standing there, and then next thing that he says, which really just blew my mind, he said, okay, we're on this, what they call the deck. Everybody drop to the deck. And I'm like, drop to the deck. What is that supposed to mean? Well, being in a class of 31 other cadets, there were 32 altogether. A lot of them were all former military. They knew exactly what they meant. They all took the position of push-ups. And I was like, do you see this suit? But this is a nice suit. I am not, no, this is not happening. So of course, cadet, get down. I'm like, well, let me take off my jacket. You don't need to take off your jacket. I'm like, whoa. I said my jacket, nothing else. So we get down, we start doing push-ups. I'm like, man, this guy is on his mind. Do our push-ups, get up, and then we stand up and he says to me, who are you? And I said, I'm Christopher Fairbank. That's not what I asked. I'm like, well, you did. You asked who I was. I said, well, you did. Who? I said, what do you want to know? He goes, your answer is I'm a cadet in the police academy. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I guess I'm a cadet in the police. You guess? And so anything after that was just I was always interrupted with yells and everything, and that was, yeah. Now, as the thing progresses in the police academy, 9 months, okay, that's a long time. Things start progressing in the police academy, we're doing okay. Well, then they find out my secret. And what was my secret?
Ballet dance.
Yes, ballet dance. Oh, you can only imagine. You can only imagine the fun they had with me. Oh yeah, and they had some fun. So my nickname in the police academy was Ballet Boy. And everything was, everything, and I mean everything. If Ballet Boy can do it, well, you can do it. If Ballet Boy can do it, anybody can do it. Okay, fine. Well, if Ballet Boy can do it, well, then anybody can do it. That's great. So I was already put on this pedestal. I like to believe it was a pedestal. I was put on this pedestal that if anybody can do it, if Ballet Boy can do it, then anybody can do it. So yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, that's not really what they meant, but that's okay. But I helped lead that group of 31 cadets. I helped, I guess I don't want to say train them, because I wasn't training anything, but I helped get them to the point where they realized who they were and what their purpose was. We got to that point where I was actually leading, unbeknownst to me, but helping them become leaders in their own right. But then I was becoming a leader and a teacher, and I was setting a direction that they were able to follow if they wanted to follow. We're having fun. We were having a lot of fun because we set that direction. And the drill instructors and the other academy directors and teachers there, they were setting a direction. They were teaching us. They were giving us ideas. And they were giving us suggestions how to do things. But there was also somebody in the class who was also leading that way and also being a teacher. Fast forward several years, and I'm working, and I have this supervisor, or this deputy chief, who believed that he knew everything. And his thing that he would always say is, well, I've been a cop for 18 years, so I know what's going on. And they always do this. Right? They always do that, right? Any police officer spouses, or anybody have police officers in the family? Are you a spouse? Your husband doesn't do that, though, does he? No. No, he's a good one. The ones that want to make themselves feel like something, I'm doing this, it's like you're shifting your thing. You pull those up any higher, you're going to be chasing your britches. So he says, yeah, I've been a cop for 18 years. I know how this is. I know exactly how everything goes. Okay, great. Well, one day he walks in, because I had a specialized position. He comes in and he gives me a packet of paper. Just gives me a packet of paper and slams it on my desk and says, get that taken care of. Okay. I said, sir, and before I can even say anything, he shuts the door and he's gone. Oh, great. So I'm looking at this, and this is stuff that I've never even seen before in my life. I had no idea what it was. And it was just miscellaneous stuff that he wanted, I guess, to be filed on the computer or something like that. That's not what I do. But okay, so I'm looking at all this, but I had no direction. I had nothing. It was just do it. How many times have you been in a situation or a meeting or something like that, and your supervisor comes in or somebody comes in and says, hey, just do this, with no explanation whatsoever? Really, that's it? That's it? So the rest of you are lying. Because it happens all the time. It happens all the time. We're given stuff here, just do this. What does that do? It does absolutely nothing. Now, what if you're in a situation where, which happened a couple weeks later, where the chief actually came in, and the chief was fantastic. Don is awesome, right? Don is fantastic. You know he's retired? That's so sad. Greatest chief ever. He came in just a couple weeks later and said, hey, Christopher, can you help me out with something? I'd love to. He said, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm working on. But I know you've got some ideas, and I know you've got some thoughts. Let's work through this. He gave me the direction. He was my teacher. But not only were those two things there and present, he stayed there the whole time too. Hey, let's work this through. So we spent about 2.5 to 3 weeks working on this project together. Never once did he leave my side, but never once was he looking over my shoulder either saying, well, no, you got to do it like this, and no. It was all collaborative. That is true leadership. And that is actually being a teacher and leading and guiding your people in the way that you should be led and guided. If you can't do that, then we're really going to be in a world of hurt. So my suggestion, and what I ask people to do, and what I tell people to do actually, I don't ask them, I tell them, when I speak with some executives and CEOs, I say, no, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you have to do it. You go in there and you give them this information, and then you explain to them what it is, what it's about, and why we're doing this. But then don't just stop there. Offer your help. If you need something, reach out to me and let me know what you have questions with. If you don't understand something, ask me. Don't just say it as a brush over, as icing on top of a cake. You have to be in there in the layers of the cake, if you will. And you have to be willing to say, put that aside just for a second and take that person's call, take that person's question, and actually listen to them and see what they have to ask. Because when you do that, you'll now put yourself on a higher level of respect, because now they know and they realize that you actually care about them. Because I guarantee you, and if one person doesn't raise their hand, or if you're not thinking about raising your hand, I think you're probably lying to yourself. But there is not one person that's been in a situation where you've had that person in your life, whether it be family or work, that has just given you something and just said, go to it and have to, and don't ever talk to me about it again. I don't want to know about it. I just want to see the end product. We've all had those. Even if you don't think yet, you've all had it. As parents, we do the same thing with our children. I said, bless you, I said it just yesterday. I said to my son, go clean your room, and I walked away. 30 minutes later, I come back in and he's on the floor playing with Lincoln logs. I said, son, your room is a disaster. Uh-huh. Are you going to clean it? Uh-huh. When? I don't know. So I take my own advice. I said, well, how about this? Why don't I sit here and help you with it? Okay. So who did most of the cleaning? You. But that's okay, because I was teaching him how to do it. That's my thought, at least. So hopefully next time he'll realize, okay, this is how Dad did it. Maybe I should do it this way. So I left one little spot for him to clean. I said, okay, now this is yours. You take care of this, okay? And I said, I'll come back in 10 minutes to see how it's done. I came back and the room was spick and span. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I said, let's make your bed. It's all under the bed. Oh, it's spick and span. He just pushed it under the bed. But we need to set the direction. We need to teach him exactly the way to do it. Right? That's how we have to do it. We have to teach him how to do it. Now, set the direction and be the teacher, right? So how many times do we feel like that? We're pushing that boulder up the hill, and we're pushing and pushing and pushing. By the time we get there, we think we've got it, we're so excited, and then we get crushed, and it just comes down falling back over top of us. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. Now, I would ask that you don't be that person to the people that you work with. So here's my question, by show of hands. Who here has people that work for them? Okay, great. Put your hands down. Who here has people that work with them? Okay, now wait a second. Some of you guys put your hands up twice. Now, what is the difference with somebody that works for you and somebody that works with you? I'm about to tell you. Somebody that works for you is somebody that you're just hounding hour after hour, day after day, and this is what you have to do, this is how it's going to be done, so on and so forth. Somebody that works with you is somebody that you actually, I think this is pretty bold to say, but it's somebody that you actually truly respect and care about the position that they have and they hold in that company or in that business that you're working in. Because if you're actually working with somebody, you're allowing them to give you feedback. You're allowing them to take feedback from you. You're willing to listen to them. You're willing to open up and listen to what they have to say. You're willing to get down to their level and see what's going on. That deputy chief I was talking about earlier was not like that. Everybody works for him. We all work for him. And I remember one day sitting in his office and I said, well, you know what, BC? We actually work together. And he goes, no, we don't. He said, I am over you. I said, okay. I said, well, we still work together. No, we don't. All right, whatever. It was a never-ending losing battle. Because everything was all about him. This is how he wanted it. This is how he wanted it done. He didn't want anybody else's ideas, anybody else's suggestions, or anybody else's input whatsoever. Because he thought the way he was doing was always correct. Sometimes it was correct. Sometimes it was not correct. Sometimes it was an absolute disaster and a train wreck. But he was one of those people that always believed that it was always about him, and he knew the right way, and his way was always best. Please, I beg of you, if that is somebody in this room, please get rid of that mentality, because that is very hard to live life with, and very hard to operate your operations and your businesses within the Bursars or anything. Very, very hard to operate that way. Remember, other people have thoughts and ideas as well, and it's okay to listen to them. Just because it's okay to listen to them. Now, that does not mean that I'm standing here telling you have to take their idea and their suggestion. I'm not saying that, because some ideas and some suggestions are absolutely terrible. In your head, you can think, man, that's the worst idea that I've ever heard in my life. Thank you so much. Well, that's really small. Janet. Thank you so much, Janet, but We really appreciate it. Leave it. Thank you so much. Leave it. Don't say, you know what, Jen, that was the worst idea I've ever heard of. And if you ever bring me anything like that again, well, I'm going to put you out of your butt and you never come back here ever again. You understand? Okay. There's a difference, right? Thank you. You've been heard. At least you've been heard. At least they listened to you. Put yourself on the other end of that, on that other end of that coin, the other side of that coin. Don't be that person on that side that's going, all right, well, I don't have time for you right now. I can't, you know, set an appointment. We hear that all the time. Set an appointment to come and meet with me, and you've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes? But what I have to tell you is going to take about 7 minutes. No, you got 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, the clock is ticking. Let's go right now. You got 3 minutes. That's time out. Don't do that. Set time to listen to these people. Set time to actually hear them so that you can hear what they've got to say, so you can be the teacher. You can help them help you set the direction. The best businesses that I've seen work the best are the ones that all work together and collaborate together. They all work and collaborate together because they listen to each other's ideas and they know that other people's ideas are important. I was speaking at an executive assistants conference back in May. A room full of executive assistants. I don't know, there was probably 400 or 500 of them. And I asked them what their biggest complaint was with the jobs they work in as executive assistants to these big CEOs and executives. And they all said their biggest issue and their biggest problem was that they never had a voice and they never had the opportunity to have a seat at the table. And I said, so what is it that they ask you to do? They said, well, one of them, which I was appalled by, they said, oh, well, my executive has a calendar every day, which is fine, and she's the one that keeps up this calendar for him. She says, but he put in there, remind me to go to the restroom at this time. Are you kidding me? You're a grown man. You can't, okay. She's like, and that's what the schedule looks like every day. Remind me to do this, remind me to do that. She said, some things I didn't mind reminding them, but to go use the restroom, are you serious? She's like, that was my job. She goes, and then when I would give a suggestion or give a thought, he would say, oh, well, thank you very much, but you're just an assistant. Whoa. But if that executive's assistant was not there and making sure that he goes to the bathroom at the right time, he's going to get sick, or something else is going to happen, or if she just misses something on the calendar, he's going to be late. Another executive assistant at the same conference said, oh, my executive's not like that at all. She said, my executive, she is fantastic. She listens to everything I have to say. She takes my ideas. She takes my suggestions. And I go to a lot of the meetings with her. And she looks at me a lot of times and says, well, what do you think? Do you think this will work? They had a great relationship. And that's how all of our businesses should be. That's how all of our departments should be. Is we should be able to work with each other and take those suggestions and take those ideas so we can then teach others how to do it. If we can't do that, well, we can start to learn and we can try to do it. Number 4, admit faults and mistakes. Okay, who here can admit their faults and their mistakes? Excellent. Excellent. Now, going back to the police department. I was supposed to work on a Monday. Monday was my day off. Monday was my day off. I was working with the sheriff's office. Everything was fine. Monday was my day off. I had Sunday and Monday off. Great days to have off. It was perfect. I loved it. Well, on that Monday I was supposed to work, but I did not check the schedule the week before. And the schedule had gone out. It goes out a month prior to the month that we were about to hit. So I hadn't looked at the schedule. I knew that I was always off on Sunday and Monday. I knew I didn't have any vacation time I was taking that month, so I didn't even look at it. I just knew that I'd come in on Tuesday and life would be great. Well, on Monday morning, at about 9 a.m., my phone is just blowing up. It is just ringing off the hook, and I kept on like, why on earth is the sheriff's department calling me? I just pushed ignore, ignore, ignore. I finally just turned the phone off. Like, I don't care about this. It's bothering me on my day off. Next day, I go into work. There's my captain. Meets me at the door. I'm like, oh, hey, Cap, how you doing? He says, I'm good, and how are you? I said, great. Are you relaxed? I'm resting. Yes, sir, ready to go. I hope you are. He said, you know, he said, I called you yesterday. I said, oh, was that you? He said, yes, that was me. Why didn't you answer the phone? I said, it was my day off. I don't answer the phone on my day off for people I don't know. He said, you know me? I was like, yeah, I know what I saw. I just didn't answer. Don't worry about it. He said, well, there were 6 sergeants that had vacation days that day that they had put in months and months ahead of time. This captain had come on and taken the schedule over and couldn't cancel people's vacations and said, I needed you there as a sergeant. I needed you there that day because you would have been my second sergeant and I would have had 2 on duty instead of the 8 that I normally have. He said, but instead I have 1. And he said, could you imagine what would have happened out there if somebody would have gotten injured or something and that sergeant was out there by himself and he didn't have his partner, his other sergeant out there with him? Oh. Yeah, I guess that could be bad. It could be bad? Yes, sir. He says, come to my office. I'm thinking, oh no. I'm unbuckling my belt, getting ready to put it on the table because I was like, I'm done having, I'm fired. We go in there, he says, what happened? Well, I had 2 choices. I could tell him the truth, that I just didn't look at the schedule, or I could not tell him the truth and just say, I just didn't feel like coming in because I wanted 2 days off. It was right. Could have been bad. We sat down and I said, well, you know what, sir? I said, what happened was, I didn't look at the schedule. And I accept any consequences and any repercussions this may have caused. I will take anything. I will take my penance. It's okay. I was wrong. And I understand I put several officers in danger that day, yesterday. I said, I am sorry. Whatever comes down, I will take. And he said, okay, so it's going to be pretty stiff punishment. I said, I understand that, sir. I said, I will take it. In my head, I'm thinking, oh man, I'm going to be working dog watch for the rest of my life. But no, that's not what he said. He didn't put me on dog watch. I still had my nice little shift during the day. It was all nice. He said, you owe me. And I said, I know I owe you. He said, you know you made a mistake. I know I made a mistake. He said, well, I appreciate you admitting to your faults and admitting to your mistakes. He said, you owe me lunch. And I was like, that's it? You owe me lunch. I said, fantastic. I will take you to lunch. What police officer in your right mind you ever see go to Ruth Chris? Are you kidding me? I'm like, lunch? And then he says, oh, but it's not just me. You're taking the chief. I'm like, the sheriff. I'm like, I ain't taking the sheriff to lunch, dude. You kidding me? No. I said, I'll take you to a nice French cuisine restaurant. Somebody goes, oh, really? What is that? It's a Hardee's. Hardee's, right? Hardee's. I'm like, let's go. I'm buying. Thankfully, we didn't go to Hardee's, and we did not, thankfully, go to Ruth's Chris. I think we went to Applebee's or something. Worst lunch I've ever had. I think it's because I was nervous. Anyway, admit your faults and admit your mistakes, and make sure that you are the one that admits to it. Do not let somebody else bring it to your attention, and if it does come to your attention, just really admit it. You know, I did wrong. You're right, I did wrong. It's okay. With children, I'm trying to teach my children that, but it is not getting through, and I don't understand why. Just admit that you let, and my biggest pet peeve, sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent for a second. My biggest pet peeve is when they leave that much milk in the milk jug. And don't say what, you know, people are shaking their heads. Yes, all the parents in that drive me nuts. And then you ask, what? Wasn't me. It was her. Did you? Wasn't me. I have twins that just turned 1 year old, right? You ready for this? This actually happened last week. My son, of course, is my son. He's my only boy, okay? So I got to rag on him every once in a while. It was probably them. Son! How'd you... Okay, fine. And then you know what he says to me? There's still milk, isn't there? Oh, my God. What is wrong with you? Yeah, but there's still... Thank you, son. Can you just admit that you made a mistake? Well, I didn't make a mistake. All right, then. Fine. We're done with that. We'll revisit that conversation a different day. So let's not happen. I don't even know how to revisit it. There's still milk, isn't there? Yes, there is. Thank you. Anyway, be willing to admit what your faults are and admit your mistakes. Because I will tell you, when you admit to those faults and you admit to those mistakes, you have then gained a whole lot more respect for the people that you work with. Notice I said work with, not work for the people that work for you. But the people that you work with, their respect level for you has just grown immensely. It has grown immensely. And that's exactly what we want. 5, help others succeed and encourage leadership at all levels. Now, this is probably my favorite part. So, we have to encourage leadership at all levels. We have to be able to encourage leadership at all levels, and we have to be willing to allow them to take a lead in some things. So, back to the police academy. academy, they're getting ready to put together squads. And there was going to be 6 squads. And then over that squad, there was a squad leader for each squad. And then for the whole class, there was a team leader. Because all the squads equaled a team. And so they started doing interviews. And so they started interviewing all the officers, all the cadets, were all being interviewed and everything like that. And I walk into my interview and I'm all excited because I knew I was not going to get anything because I was picked on the whole time. Well, ballet boy. Ballet boy can do it, anybody can do it, right? So I walk in and the drill instructor says to me, "So, tell me about yourself." I said, "Well, what do you want to know?" He said, "Just tell me who Christopher is." And I was like, "Oh, I got this," because that was ingrained in my head real quick. I'm like, "I'm a police cadet." No, I want to know exactly who you are, what makes you tick. And I'm like, "I'm a police cadet." So I told him a little bit about myself. You know, I'm a professional ballet. I'm a retired professional ballet dancer. I loved it, did it for 18 years. I won 2 gold medals for the United States of America. He goes, "Well, that's pretty cool." I said, "Yeah, it was a pretty good accomplishment." "Yeah, I guess it's a pretty good accomplishment." "You guess? Don't worry about it, just 2, you know, who cares?" Everything's going well. We're good. We get back out after those interviews with all 32 cadets, and we're standing out on the deck. Again, out on the deck. And he comes out and he says, "Attention!" Well, I had no idea what attention was. I didn't know how to stand military-style attention. I had no idea. Granted, we were only into this like 2 weeks. I'm clueless. Absolutely clueless. I had no idea what I'm supposed to do. He came up and he said, "Attention, cadet!" And I went. And he looks at me and goes, what is that? I was like, "Attention?" I have no idea. No idea. Now, drill instructors, they wear those little hats, right? And that hat is supposed to hit you right about here. Now, this drill instructor was short. He was hitting me right about here. So he starts yelling at me. "You think this is funny?" "No, sir, I don't think this is funny at all." "Why can't you find this amusing?" "Now get in the position. And don't do that last thing that you did." "Okay, yes, sir." He says, "Position." I'm like, "Okay." "What are you doing?" I said, "Position." "Son," a son or boy or something. I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Are you looking at me?" Remember, he was good. I went, "No, sir." "You think this is funny?" "No, sir." "What are you doing?" I said, "Plie, sir, I'm exercising." "Go give me 2 miles." And I just did. "What are you waiting for?" I said, "You want me to do it now or?" "Yes, now." "Okay." So I ran and I did 2 miles and I came back. He says, "Attention." Oh, I don't know what you want me to do. He goes, "I'll teach you." And I was like, okay, teach me. He said, "Do you think this is funny?" I said, no. "I have a name." I said, "Okay, you have a name. And it's Sir." Do not ever do this. Don't do what I just did. This one is even worse. I said, "Sir?" Now remember, I'm a ballet dancer. I have some sort of sense of humor. I said, "Sir? Your parents named you Sir?" That hat was hitting me so hard, like, oh my gosh. Well, he said to me and looked me straight in the eye, he goes, "Do you think you're a leader?" And I was like, "Oh, here's my chance." I said, "Yes, I do." "Do you think you have integrity?" I said, "I know I have integrity." And I said, "You know what? I'm going to be the change that I want to see in not only the world, but especially this police department right here." And I thought, I've either lost my job at this point in time, or I'm going to get something nice. He stands forward and reaches out his hand and shakes my hand. He says, "I know you are. I know you are, and I know you will." I said, "Thank you." He goes, "You're the team leader." "Excuse me?" "You want me to do what?" So now I'm supposed to help all of these other cadets and these squads, help them become better leaders and better police officers, and I have no idea what I'm doing. No clue whatsoever. Fast forward to 9 months later, and we're standing at graduation. We're sitting at graduation for the police academy. And they said, "We have one more award that we'd like to give out. And this award is the Peer Professionalism Award for Leadership and Integrity. This award has not been given out in Bexar County for 15 years. And this is a personal sheriff's award. And Sheriff Ortiz is the one that gave this award out. And he stood up and he said, I'm here to give this award out. He said, if Cadet Christopher Fairbank would please stand. And I was like, what? I was like, well, all the hullabaloo I just put these people through for the last 9 months. Okay, so I got up there. And he said, say something, say something. I was like, I'm not prepared to say anything. So I said, cadets. And every single 31 of them all stood up. And we all repeated at the same time, I am a leader, I have integrity, and I will be the change that I want to see. I said, cadets, be seated. Not one of them sat down. And the sheriff just kind of looked at me like, wow, that's okay. I walk back down. You ready for it? I walk back down. I stand at the end of the aisle because I'm the team leader, right? So I got to lead the whole thing. I said, cadets, and they all went. And the sheriff, I think he nearly lost his brain. He was like, and we all stood there. He's just standing. He's got the podium. He's like, and I said, be seated. And we all sat down. And it was great. It was wonderful. I've seen Sheriff Ortiz in the grocery store a couple times, and he still looks at me and goes. And it's like that too. It's like, I'm like, no, turn that out a little bit. Okay. Why do I share that? Because we have to develop our people. And that is something we have to develop these people so that when we leave, somebody else can take our position. We have to be sure that they know what they're doing and they know what they've been taught so they can take the position that we are currently in. Because if we can do that, we have now helped our whole business and our whole structure become better. If we don't do that, and then when we leave, everything's going to go downhill very quickly, and they're going to be scrambling to get somebody to replace them. Now, I don't want to talk bad about any department I've ever been with, but one of the departments I was with still does not have a replacement for me because nobody wants to do the job that I was doing. Oh, he did way too much. No, I just did what was asked of me. I did what was required, I believe. I did a little bit more, yes, but nobody's still taking that position because it's too much work. Really, if you would teach them, and I try to teach people how to do this, but if they're not willing to learn, well, then you've done your job. You've tried to teach them. So continue to try and teach them. But at the other hand, it's up to them to take that and to put it into themselves and actually work towards it. And sixth, last but not least, lead by example. We have to lead by example. You are the example. You need to be that person that you want people to follow. You need to be that person that people are going to say, you know what, I would follow this person anywhere. I would do anything that person asked me to do. No matter what they ask me, I would do it. Well, of course, within reason, right? If it's not illegal, unlawful, or immoral, I will do it. That is the kind of person that you want to be. That is the leader that every single person can be, and that we've all developed within ourselves. Because I always believed that I would never ask one of my officers to do something that I wasn't willing to do myself. The chief came in and said, hey, I need you to do this. Or no, he said, I need you to take care of this, give this to one of your people, and have them get it done. Have them take care of it. I said, okay, Don, I got it. Taken care of it. We got this. And I looked at this packet and I thought, oh my goodness, I have no idea what this is, how to take care of this. I'm clueless. But it's okay, I can give somebody else this, I can give it to them. Somebody else came in, another officer, I called him and said, hey, I need you to take care of this for me if you wouldn't mind. And they looked at it the same way. Oh my gosh, they said, do you know how to do this? Do you have any idea? And I said, no. And the next thing that came out of my mouth, I have no idea why I said it, but I guess I just ingrained it myself. I said, I have no idea, but I'll go with you, we'll figure it out together. Oh my goodness, what did I just do? Well, I will tell you, we went out there, we did it together. We royally jacked it up. We screwed it up so bad. But thankfully, we were there together, we worked through it. Chief came out and said, well, it's not as bad as you think it is. Well, I think it's pretty bad, Chief. I think it's pretty bad. But we worked together. We got it fixed. We got it taken care of. But when he came out, he said to me, I am so glad that you're out here with this other officer. Because I knew you hadn't done this before. He said, and what I was doing was I was testing you to see if you would go out there and learn how to do it as well. And I said, well, did I pass the test? He said, well, I knew you would, because you've never, ever asked anybody to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. That is the same thing. You can apply that to everyday life. Do not ask somebody to do something else that you are not willing to do yourself or that you have not done yourself. Make sure that you go out there and you stand in front and you say, here we are. Because in my mind, the best leaders are also the best followers. With that, not only do you have to learn how to follow other people, but you also have to lead those other followers and get right back in the pack in the middle of them, in the middle of that pack with them. Because when they see that they're on the same level as you, and they see that they're there with you and that you're working with them, they want to work for you. The product is better. The outcome is always going to be better because you are there with them. Others will follow your footsteps easier than they will your advice. How many times have we gotten advice? You get advice all the time, right? Now, is advice good? Sometimes, who says their advice is always good? Don't you? Raise your hand. Because advice is, a lot of times, it's not very good advice at all. But take the advice. Just take it. Thank you so much. That's all you have to say. A thank you goes a very long way. Doesn't mean you gotta implement it, but you need to take it. But be that person that they will follow your footsteps and they will follow what you do. Even if you're giving them advice and they're not taking it, but at least they're following you because they know that what you're doing is correct. Jane Austen. You guys all like Jane Austen? We love Jane Austen. I love Jane Austen. It isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do. It isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do. Are you the person that is going to do something and hopefully have people follow what you're doing? Are you the person that when you say something, they will jump up and they will say, I am there with you wholeheartedly, 150%? Because if that's you, you've just become a leader. You become that person that everybody looks up to and everybody says, you know what, I can follow that person, I can listen to that person, I can believe in that person because that person right there believes in me. And once these people start believing in us, you've actually made another step closer to success. Higher success, greater success for you. In your place of business, in your office, in your meetings, whatever the case may be, you have made another step towards great success. We need to be that person that's going to follow us through thick and through thin. Because there are going to be times in business, there are going to be times in life where it's going to be so thick and it's going to be so tough. And you're going to want somebody by your side. At the office, at home, you're going to want that person there for you. But you're going to want them there genuinely. And when they're there genuinely, they then see that you have respect for them and they have respect for you. And they see the appreciation that you have for them. And they see that you are truly that leader that they've been following this whole time. And they're truly seeing that you're the leader that they always want to follow. And that they want to become like. Can we do that? Yes, we can do that. So here we go. Everybody stand once again. Now we know it. We've talked about it. I'm going to ask you a very simple question at the end. So here we go. I am a leader.
I am a leader.
I have integrity.
I have integrity.
I will be the change
I will be the change
that I want to see.
that I want to see.
Now, one more time with me. Ready? I am a leader. I have integrity. I will be the change that I want to see. Now, by show of hands, who here believes all of that? That is you? I hope so. You can be seated. Because this is exactly who you are. This is exactly who you are in your departments and your divisions. This is who you are, and this is who you can and will become. I know for a fact, and I know without a shadow of a doubt, that this is who you are, and this is who you will become, and this is who you can be. If you would just put your mind to it and say to yourself that you will lead with integrity, that you will have the confidence to stand alone if you have to stand alone, and that in turn will allow you to be the change that you want to see in the world. Or, let's make it smaller, the change that you want to see in your own office, in your own department. You can be that change. You can make that difference. That I truly believe. I leave with a quote from somebody that I have very esteemed in my mind and I love dearly. And he said, lift where you stand. His name is Dieter F. Uchtdorf. He always says, lift where you stand. And if we lift where we stand, we will see that the load and the burden is lightened. That is what I leave with you today, is to lift where you stand and lighten that burden of others that are around you. I know that if you do that, you will see great success and you will become more successful than you already are. I leave that with you and promise you that if you do that, you will see great success in your life. May God bless each and every single one of you, and thank you for being here today. And thank you for